In today's episode, I'm going to reintroduce you to the Bambu Lab A1 Mini. You can now get this low-cost $219 printer at Target or even Best Buy. And we're going to take it from box to fully assembled. I'll step you through the whole thing and even make a first print, a little scraper to scrape prints off the bed. I'll explain it all right here at Chuck Hallbuck's Electronic Products and Filament Friday. This video is sponsored by PCB. PCB offers CNC machining, 3D printing, sheet metal fabrication, and injection molding. So for 3D printing, you just upload your file, view it in 3D on their online viewer to make sure everything's right, and then you can select which material you want. Nylon, PLA, ABS. You can even do aluminum, stainless steel, or titanium. And if you're looking for low-cost circuit boards, they can give you 10 boards for $5 plus shipping. They also have a low-cost assembly. So if you're looking for any of these services, check out PCBWay.com. 3D printing is now at Target stores. Not just the 3D printer, but you can also get filament. Now it's very convenient, not the cheapest, but it's very convenient to just go pick up a spool of filament. They've also got these Bambu kits where you can print it and make your own toys. It includes the electronics. But finally, in my Target store, they had the A1 Mini in its own custom box for $219.99, and that's no shipping costs. I also saw 3D printers at Best Buy, but I didn't see the A1 Mini, which is a low-cost printer I wanted to focus on. If you bought one of these A1 Minis from the Target store, let me show you how to put it together and successfully create your first 3D print. So I took it out of the box. It comes in one big plastic bag, all wrapped and packaged. So now I just need to unpack this, and we'll put this thing together, and I'll show you how to do that. So the first thing, I'll open the top of the plastic bag, which was just taped together, and then I can pull this all the way down. So this reveals the printer. Now we've got some cardboard pieces on top, a logo cardboard piece, and we've got a little black cushion that protects the top of it. And then it looks like this lifts off next. And oh, this just fell out. A little box of parts of some kind. I'm going to put these aside. And there, starting to see the printer, and it looks like it's mostly assembled. So then, protective piece there. And protective piece of the back here. Take that off. And then it looks like there's some tie wraps holding things. There's some instruction manual here. This is kind of tight, so I'm not going to pull that yet. Like there's a piece, oh, there's some stuff over here. So you got your power cord. This is a spool holder. And then you get a little lamp kit, LED lamp kit. So it's a little kit you can 3D print, and it's got some electronics probably in there. So that's a first project. This front piece, oh, there's something here. Oh, this is an end piece that we'll have to install. And then looks like I can lift the front of this off. Yep, the front piece, I held it up. And here's a cardboard on the side with some disclaimer and safety guidelines. I'll probably violate. And then what else we got here? Okay, I can take this piece out now, that's fine. We've got the Bambu Lab A1 Mini Quick Start Guide. So I give you a quick start guide. It looks like some warning about the bed being hot. The bed material's already on it. It looks like we're mostly assembled. Then that piece off. And whoa, there's the printer. They give you ETFE tube to go from the filament to the nozzle, and a small sample of filament. Now, you're going to want a full spool of filament. This isn't going to do much. Super dry pack to keep it dry. I keep that. And like that, I put that plastic bag over here. Now I've got the cord. The cord is already attached. It's permanently attached. It's got a guard over the pins. And it looks like there's another plastic bag, a little cover over this thing, which, oh, I can pull that right off. So this is mostly assembled. There's a packing piece right here, and then there's a tie strap holding the head from moving. And underneath the bed here is another piece I can pull out. And oh, it sounds like there's another one. Yep, there's another one back here underneath it. And now the bed can move, which is how it prints this way, and then this goes back and forth. But we got to cut this tie strap, or at least pull it off. Oh, look at that! I can pull it off, and I can move it and get this piece out of here. So then I just need to cut that tie strap, and this thing will be 99% assembled of it, other than these couple parts. So let me open up this A1 Mini Quick Start Guide, and we'll finish the assembly. So I apologize. My microphone, I think, was breaking up a little bit while I was doing that. I think I got it fixed. But I opened up the quick start guide that came with it, and it shows some tools and a bunch of little pieces, which I think are all inside this box that kind of fell. So let's open it up and see if that's true. Yep, and there it is, a bag full of everything it said I would need to finish the assembly. Now what's interesting, what's not included, is this, a pair of side cutters. This came with every 3D printer I've gotten before. Ender 3s, all of them. They gave you a pair of side cutters. That's where these came from one of the newer Ender 3s. It doesn't include it. You use it to cut filament, cut an angle on it so it's easier to slide into the machine, and for cutting this right here. I don't know why it doesn't include it, but at least I had a bunch of them from previous printers. So I'll put that aside for now, and let's follow the instructions. So I've got an unclogging tool in here, 2 different Allen wrenches, a Bambu scraper blade, a spool holder base, some grease and oil for lubricating it, cable organizer, and 3 different size screws. And then it says the first thing we need to do is actually cut that tie strap off. But there's also this bracket here which holds this arm from going up and down during shipping. So there's 2 screws here and 2 screws here that I have to remove. And for that, I need one of the Allen wrenches. So there are 2 Allen wrenches included, a bigger one, which is really long, and a smaller one. I don't know the size. Oh, it's an H2 and an H1.5. So 2 millimeter, and that's what fits these screws here. So, wow, it's in there a little tight. Thought I could just spin them out. There we go. So I can spin that screw out. I don't think you need these to keep these screws because there's screws in here for mounting, but you actually mount, I believe you mount the spool holder in these same holes. So they could have just used the same screws, but I'm just going to follow the instructions, and I know it's got new screws in there. So I'm just taking this bracket off so you can see it here. I'm going to twist this over. So I took the 2 out there, and then there's 2 right here. A little harder for me to do it, but then you can see what I'm doing, I hope. So I'm just taking this top screw off. A little harder to spin in here. They're all the same size. And so one down here should be the last one. And this should allow this arm to move up and down. And there's a motor in here with a threaded rod, and that's what lifts this thing. So I guess they didn't want the threaded rod or anything get bent or banged on while it's shipping. That's why they put this in here. And there's the bracket, which I don't think we ever use again, strictly for shipping. But we'll see if it mentions it anywhere in the quick start guide, but that's step 1. Oh, and this keeps coming off. So I got a bad foot on the bottom. It's got these feet on each corner, and this, it's like glued in place. It's real sticky. And this one, when I slide it, keeps coming off. It's also got these 4 pads here, so I'm not sure how important that is, but that's defective on mine. It's probably going to need some fresh glue or something. I'm sure I'll lose it again. But that's step 1. So now I can move it this way, and Well, I can't move it that way. Why they needed that bracket. Um, but once it powers up, I'm sure I'll be able to move. But although they recommend you don't move this stuff anyway because the motors generate power and can zap the electronics. Doesn't say that in here, but that's the history of these 3D printers. But I tested that over and over on many, many printers. I could never do any damage by doing that because it's such a low amount of power that the stepper motors generate, and I never worried about it. But if someone tells you don't do that, you can fry your printer. You listen to it, you be safe, but I don't think there's any chance you can do that. The quick start guide then tells me I need to tighten 3 screws on the bed. This bed, there's springs in here at each, it's like a 4 corners. Each corner has a spring and a preload on the spring. So like older printers, so it's resting on springs, but it's telling me to tighten these 3 points to lock the heat bed. So I got to use that 2mm Allen wrench again and tighten it. So I guess I got to hold this up while I do. I guess I could put it on the side, and I don't know how tight. I guess you just get it tight till it locks in. Yep, all the way till it's tight. I see why they give you a long Allen wrench. And then there's one back here. And it's a little awkward to do this. I guess you could set it down and do it. I'm trying to do it for the camera, so that changes things. But yeah, now they're all tight. And just for the record, I lost that foot again, and now I don't know where it went. So we'll find it later. Oh, there it is. I'm going to just set it aside. Wonder if that affects anything. Slightly wobbly. So I'll figure that out later. So now the bed is tight, and we can move on to the next step, which is putting on the purge wiper, which is this piece right here, which looks like it goes on the end over here. So it looks like this goes actually here, slides on, and then there's a screw to hold it in place. So I'm going to have to put this up again and try to put it in a position where you can see. So this slides up like this. Yep. So that's in place, but then I need it says an M312 screw, but it doesn't say that on the bag. It just says for purge wiper. So, but it does say in parentheses for purge wiper. So it's an M312 screw in case you lose it, I guess. Tells you that in a quick start, but here's the screw. There's no Loctite or anything on this. Oh, there is a little bit. Yeah, a little bit of Loctite on the screw to hold it in place. That's good because there will be vibration in the 3D printer. Now I can't see where the screw hole is. So I'm going to put it like that. And there we go. Went right in, easy. So this thing kind of slides into a slot, so it automatically puts it in place for you and holds it before you put this screw in. And even with that Loctite, it went in pretty smooth. So that's in nice and firm. So that is the purge wiper. So when this comes across, it actually does the little thing moves and kicks stuff off the nozzle. That's why they call it a purge wiper. So that's how that works. So that's in place. So next we need to install the spool holder bracket, which goes on the back like I was talking about in the same screw holes where this plastic bracket was. So it's a little plastic bracket that came in the kit, and this mounts, I'll make sure I get this right because I guess it could go either way, but you want it to go into the middle of the beam. So that should go like that. And then it says 2 M3-8 screws, but on the bag again it says 4 spool holder. So I'll take those 2 out. They do have a little bit of Loctite. And what's interesting is they're essentially the same size as what I pulled out from that bracket. So they could have used the same screws. But I guess these are fresh because they've got fresh Loctite on them. And again, 2mm. So I'm actually going to put it into here and then put it into here. So that way I don't lose anything. Don't drop it. I'm only going to put it in partially, then I'm going to put the other one just so I don't like tighten one and then can't move it or get it misaligned. So I'll tighten the top one and I'll tighten the bottom one. So the top is in place and then I can do the bottom one. Once that's tight, now the spool holder just slides right over this like that. Fits pretty tight. I guess you could adjust those screws to how tight, but man, it goes on and that's all the way down. That's on there solid. So this is where you'd actually hang the spool. That's the problem with this loose stuff. You can hang it on there, but it never works right. I mean, I'll try it, but I recommend a spool, actual spool of filament. When you buy the printer, get an actual spool of filament. Just get a spool of PLA. That's all this is. Does it say that? Yeah, Bambu PLA basic. Get a basic PLA, just PLA, any color. And then you can start with a spool instead of fooling with this junk. But that's what you get, when you get a low-cost printer. That's all they give you. So the next step then is to plug in the power cable and turn on the A1 Mini using the power switch in the back. We're ready to turn this thing on. So looks like this is just about, I guess it is assembled. So what did that take me? 15 minutes? I mean, I was filming, but still pretty quick. It took longer to unpack it and pull it out of the box. But the quick start guide is pretty good, so it's going to power on, and then it's actually going to go through some network settings and shows loading an external spool, and then also about the slicer. But I think there's an actual sample, there's an SD card right here. And this is where all the files are stored. And you can communicate with this through Wi-Fi. And you can also send files to it from your phone. There's the Handy app, I think they call it. So you can select a file and it'll slice it and send it to this. So you don't even need a computer. But I believe there's sample files already on here that we can print. So that's what I want to do. And I'm not even going to go over the network settings or all that. It's all in a quick start guide, but my Wi-Fi here is kind of funky. So what I actually do is, and I got a whole video on this in a previous version of this that I used, where I actually copy the file to the SD card on my computer and then I manually carry it back and plug it in. That way I don't have to go through Wi-Fi. I don't have to put anything through the cloud. I don't have to get connected to the internet in any way. Because that's one concern of some of these printers, especially I think Bambu, there's some people who are concerned that your files are going through their cloud servers so they can check what you're printing. And I'm just not a fan of that. So you can actually print to this without internet connection, just by saving the file to the SD card and plugging it in. Now, I mean, it's extra steps and everything for you. I just find it's a little safer, in my opinion. So I pulled off the little protective cap and I plugged the cord into the plug. I have a plug strip above my head for all the lighting and everything. So it's unique. The plug is up here. But it's said to make sure you've got like 150 millimeters behind it. So again, I'm moving this to make sure I've got the space. And the cord for the heated bed does bump up against the power cord. But it's not, I don't think it's going to obstruct anything. So I've got enough space. And I can move this and move the cord, but for the camera, I'm going to leave it here. So next, I'm going to start it up and we'll go through the procedure that it steps you through on the LCD screen. Okay, I can turn it on. The switch is in the back here. So I'll flip the switch and then it should power up and show us a display. And there it is. Unleash your creativity and press the start. Played a little tune, but I think my microphone actually cuts that out. It's got a filter on it. So now I can press start and you choose your language, I guess. Oh, there we go. Boy, that took several touches. Select region. North America. Connect to the Wi-Fi. I'm going to skip. It says skip here. I'm going to skip that. Terms and conditions. You can read them if you scan here. And I'm just going to agree. I'm going to skip their user program. Geez, this touch screen is really sensitive for me. Well, I can tell your user program you need a better, wow, I can't get through this. Oh, finally. Geez, what did it take, 10 pounds? Calibration for better print quality, motor noise cancellation, vibration compensation, and auto bed leveling. So it doesn't have a check for auto bed leveling. About 15 minutes for that. I'm actually going to put it on, if it'll let, there, we got it on. I'm going to hit start, and I'm just going to let this thing run. So now it's done. We got the normal menu, and you see print files. I'm just going to click on print files. And it's got 3 different speed benches. It's the typical test print. Then there's a bag clip that you can print. And then there's also a bed scraper, another bed scraper, and this has a razor blade, which is included with the kit. It's included in those tools, but I'm not going to print that one. I think I'm going to print this bed scraper, but there's also a little pocket copter, so it'll spin a propeller, and then a panda. Now they show a multicolor, but this is a single color right now. We don't have what's called the AMS unit, which can run up to 4 colors. So, and then there's a swatch display board and a whistle flute. So I'm going to choose the bed scraper. So I'll just click on that and it'll load it. But before we do that, I realize I need to hook up the filament and the filament tube. So on the last page of, or near the back of the start guide, quick start guide, then it shows you how to install a spool of filament on here. They don't show the sample, they show a full spool, but they also show this. This is the guide that you got to put in. You just pop it in this little lock here, just push and it'll lock in place. And then you have to bring the other side over to one of these holes. It doesn't specify which one. I think typically this is number 1 right here, and if you're looking at it, the left front. And once you get this in, these are hard to get out. There's a tool you can actually 3D print to make it easier, but you're supposed to be able to push these down and pull it out. And I'm telling you, it's not easy. At least not these up here. You can actually break the thing. So whatever hole you pick, just leave it there. And then there is a little clip that comes with all the pieces that clips to this, and it's got multiple slots because, like I mentioned, there's a AMS unit, which is a multi-material. I forget what the AMS stands for, but it's multi-material. It's a rack of like 4 spools that you can feed into these other holes. So this thing can actually print multicolor with that add-on. It's typically about $150 more for that add-on. And then you can do like 4 color prints. But that's why there's multiple slots here. But all it says is to snap these 2 together. So a larger one goes on the tube, and then there's a smaller little hole, and that goes on the wire, I think. You know, it doesn't really show, but I'm going to put it there, and it fits. And then you can, I guess, slide this wherever you want. This thing wants to hit on there, which I don't really like. It's going to be noisy. Oh, there, I just adjusted things. So you can slide this back and forth. So now these should move together and stay up. So now we can load the filament, the sample filament, which I don't want to tangle, but that's usually what happens with these ones. So I'm going to kind of make sure it's not tangled. I'm going to put it in this way so it's hanging there. And then I'm just going to feed this. So this is where the clippers come in. It's helpful to have a point. That's why you used to get clippers with all the printers. So I cut an angle so it's pointed, and it should go into this a lot easier. So I'll just keep pushing it in until it gets into its slot. Okay, I can feel it stopped. and then and I think it's ready to print, although you can feed it through. I'm going to go back. You know what? Let's just go with it. I'm going to print the, where'd it go? Scraper. So I pressed on scraper. Now there's an option to bed level. There's a flow calibration, dynamic flow calibration. Both of those are boxed, and I'll show you a picture of that. But both those are boxed means they're enabled. But then there's a time lapse, and the time lapse is actually there's a camera right down here, and that camera has there's a LED next to it and a camera. You can flip the little lever and cover up the camera if you don't want to do any filming, and don't turn it on. But otherwise, it would do a time lapse. It'll do a time lapse. But the format it puts it in, I can't remember exactly which format, but I know I can't use it on my Mac. It's not an MP4. So it puts in a format that I think is only Windows. At least that's my experience from using it. So I usually just leave the time lapse off, and I'll actually film a time lapse with my camera. It's a little easier, but it's going to bed level and do flow calibration, which you should really do with every print. That way it gets the proper flow and it does a bed level. Even though we calibrated already for bed, do the bed calibration on every print until you're comfortable. You can turn it off later on or do it every once in a while. But the first print, I would say do bed calibration, even if we calibrated it. So this stupid thing keeps wanting to fall back on the post. And I don't like it, but we're going to leave it there for now, and we'll start printing. So there we have it, an A1 Mini that you could buy pretty much anywhere now. You can get it at Target, you can get it at Best Buy, you can get it Micro Center, you can get it at Amazon, you can get it direct from Bambu. It's a great starter printer, very low cost, and now I need a scraper to remove my scraper. But actually I don't, because this bed flexes. It's magnetic, it's metal, so this is magnetic. So I can just pop it off. And then there's a little test strip here. Let's see, it works. It scraped that right off easily. So that's a handy little tool. Then you put this right back. It lines up with the V at the back here. And boom, it's ready to go again. Try not to do what I just did, touch it with your fingers, because the oil from your fingers get on there. If you do, just wash it with soapy water and then dry it. But try not to touch it like I just did. That was the wrong thing to show. So this is a LED lamp kit. It's got basically the electronics and some cords inside. Yeah, it's just a base. Just open this up real quick. It'll let me, I'll just tear it. So this is a base LED with a switch and USB connector. So there's a files that you download, and I don't know if it shows me on here. This gives me, yeah, it tells you how to get to the files. There's a QR code or something you scan. I don't know, to figure that out. We'll save this for another video, but the whole idea is you print out the lamp, and then this can go on the bottom of it. And, well, that spins. You can actually take it apart. So then you can light up the lamp, the 3D printed lamp. So if you're interested in that, let me know in the comments below. But if you're new to 3D printing, and you don't have a big budget, this is a great place to start. And I just showed you how to get it from box to print. I want to give a special shout out to my Patreon supporters. You make this channel happen. Thank you so much. If you like what I'm doing here, maybe check out some of the other videos popping up. If you want to help support the channel, Patreon's the best way to do it. And if nothing else, click on that CHEP logo and subscribe. I'll see you next time, right here at Chuck Hellebuck's Electronic Products and Filament Friday.